Hello and welcome back to GoodKnit Kisses. I'm your host Kristen, and my friends with allfreeknitting.com and I would like to present you with the second part of decreasing the crown on your beanie or hat. And obviously you're going to want to have your 48 peg loom where it's already been decreased, and see part 1 if you haven't done that. We've moved it from 48 pegs with stitches down to just 24, so we're going to use our 24 peg loom. And I've pre-marked these with the colored pegs from just another loom. Just grab any other loom, and for every 6-1 you're going to mark a colored peg. On the last one I stitch marked number 1 peg. This one I just happen to already have it marked, and I had marked it on the number 6. It doesn't really matter, just visually it's easier to see the separation for you. So what we're going to do is take a scrap yarn. It's a contrasting color, and you'll see that I don't actually use a yarn needle. I don't like to thread this big bulky number 6 on there, but I do like to use it. So we are going to take this and weave it through all of our loops. We'll call these our live loops on our loom here. So I'm going to take this and pull it up. And we're going to get all that extra out of here. Going to go through and do that on every single one of these live loop stitches. Go all the way around the loom, and if your scrap isn't long enough, you can actually, once you get a couple of them on there, I like to keep the first one on. Go ahead and take a few of them off. I keep the first one on in case I start pulling it too much, so you can leave a little bit of a tail. So go ahead and start threading these through, come around, and we'll meet back up. Okay, I have threaded this through. You can clearly see my contrasting yarn, and all of these are now off the pegs. I'm just taking the last ones off. I actually like to keep these separated. I know if I was doing this cast off now, this is kind of how I do it in the same color yarn, and then we just pull this shut. I'm not going to do that right now, but we are going to pull this off the loom. You don't need your other loom anymore. So we've got all these threaded through nicely. Now you're going to have a little bit of some fabric sizing issue because this loom is going to be smaller than how big your hat is here. So you've got to have a little bit of patience. Start pulling that up through here. Okay, so I have my first stitch ready for me. Make sure that your working yarn is up and out. Okay, so you're going to pull this up from here, and you're going to go ahead and put your first stitch on, peg there, and put the next one on the number 2 peg, and keep working your way around. Make sure not to skip any, because you've got to use every single peg. And if you find that, say, this is too tight, it's kind of hard to get to, and the way that this yarn is, it's a little more difficult for me. You can pull on your working strand here. Well, I'm calling it your working strand, your contrasting color, and kind of hold back here and push down here and pull up here, and make your loop a little bit more generous so you can pull it out. That's another way to do it, so that you're not having such a hard time. So go all the way around the loom and meet us back up when you've got them all on there. Okay, if you haven't paused it yet, just wanted to tell you, go ahead and make sure that you leave this on while you're putting it on the loom, because it can be so thick. So go ahead and pause it again if you need to, but make sure and leave it on, or else they can pop off. Alright, so we are back. It took me just a few minutes to put that all on there to make sure. I had a couple that were struggling with me. You want to just take your pick and start, take your pick and start pulling this contrasting yarn off. You don't need it anymore. Or your scrap yarn, whatever you want to call it. Go all the way around, come back. Alright, so we've successfully removed the transferring yarn over, and now we're going to start decreasing as we did in the last video. You're going to take everything over from the you're going to take everything over from the 2 peg to the 1, knit over, and then wrap the remaining pegs and come back. So 2 peg to 1, knit over, wrap your remaining pegs, and knit over. The second step is going from the 4 peg over to the 3, just as you did with the 2 to the 1, and knit over. Go to all 4 sections, wrap them, the remaining pegs, and then meet back up again. We've done that next section, and now we're going to move on to the next step and make the 6, which is the marked peg, over to the 5. Knit over, wrap, and you are almost done. Okay, we are done. You have gone from your original 48 stitches down to 12. Every other peg should be wrapped here. Go ahead and take your working strand here, wrap it around your loom. Just go a little over once. Cut that. You notice this is bent. I think I've been working hard. Okay. Take your working strand and start pulling it up and under here. You don't need a yarn needle. This is so much easier. And then as soon as you get one, you can just pop it off. Pull that through, pop it off. I find it saves yarn that way. I don't like to waste yarn. I'm chintzy there. I like buying the nice yarn, but I like to save it. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'm hitting the camera. Finish pulling this through, and we'll meet back up. I've taken the last one off. Normally I'd pull through the middle. We're just going to take off the loom this way. And now you pull that tight. So pull that tight, flip your hat inside out. And you can use your crochet hook to pull it through. You can see I actually tied on. I forgot I had cut off too much of my extra yarn earlier. I had to frog it, which you didn't know. Anyway, so that's why I've got this extra piece in here. I tied more on just for that last little bit. So anyway, you pull this through, and then you want to go ahead and make sure it's real tight. Grab one of your loops here, pull that through, and keep it as a loop. And then grab your working yarn and pull it through again, so that way you knot it up. So it's not going anywhere now. You can cut it off, or I like to weave it in a couple more times, and there's a video on how to weave it in, but let's play with the hat for a moment. So now what I've got is my decreased crown. I'm just kind of smoothing it out so you can see it and sort of shaping the hat. But you can see how it's really decreased this, and it's not this big bulky top. Do you see that? So this is my hat. with the nice decreased crown. Now this one's going to be more of a newsboy style hat. This is a very large hat. I can wear this and have a lot of extra room inside. It's very warm, but you've got a nice flat top, so it's more flat than anything. So it's like a double decrease, a double decreased crown. So if you didn't do the other, it probably would have ended about here, and more of a beanie style. This is going to be more flat. So thank you for joining us again at GoodKnit Kisses and allfreeknitting.com. Happy looming!